Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar on reader revenue, an audience perspective. Today we are going to learn more about how publishers can move from maximizing page views to maximizing the quality of their traffic. We are going to be looking at reader revenue strategies, monetization models, and key pillars to succeed in micropayments and more. This webinar will be recorded and shared with all registrants. And if you have any questions about the content, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box below, and we'll pick them up towards the end of the session. And joining us today in this webinar are our panelists, Abhishek Dadu and Dushyant Khare, co-founders of Fewcents. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Anand. So thanks everyone for joining. My name is Abhishek, the co-founder at Fewcents. So a quick background, I launched this company after my last ad tech related company. And I started this to solve publishers' monetization challenges and come up with an incremental source of revenue for publishers via unbundling content. So while keeping subscription and ad revenues intact, how can we incrementally monetize casual visitors? Dushyant, over to you.
Yeah, so hi everyone, my name is Dushyant Khare, also a co-founder at Fewcents. A quick background on me is, I've worked for 21 plus years, but 13 of the most recent ones have been at Google, where I was looking after Google's partnerships in Southeast Asia and India. And a large part of that was actually working very closely with publishers in the region to help them monetize through ads. So the monetization and publisher space is something that is very near and dear to me. And that's why I'm super excited about what we're doing at Fewcents. So what I'll do is I'll kick off this session, start talking a little bit about the trends in revenue and kind of set the stage, and then Abhishek will later take over and get more into the details of the kind of product that Fewcents and micropayments has. So to start off with a little bit of a controversial statement, but assuming that most of you are publishers in the audience, our statement to you is that you are under monetizing 98% of your users. So by that, we mean that the majority of your users, you're probably monetizing using ads, and there's a lot of money that you're leaving on the table. But the good news is, hopefully by the end of this session, we will give you an idea of how to solve this problem and monetize your users better. So why do we say 98%, you're leaving 98% of your users under monetized? Let's dive into that. Now, as publishers, you all know that there are basically two main ways or two revenue streams that most digital publishers have. One is ads, right? Ads has been the main monetization way for most publishers for many, many years. The great thing about ads is that it covers most of your audience, whether they're domestic or international. It's very scalable. The challenging thing about ads is that it's always never been super high in terms of revenue per user or RPM or whatever yield metric you choose. Now, when you look at this, when you look at the yields, you would know that yields have been declining for many years. And what COVID has done is really pushed that yield decline much faster, right? And on top of it, with Firefox, Safari, and now Chrome clamping down on third-party cookies, the RPMs are further challenged. So as a result, most publishers have realized or are realizing that while ads is an important revenue stream, they need to look at other revenue streams to sustain and to grow as digital publishers. So the automatic reaction is, let's start a subscription business, right? New York Times has done it. Washington Post has done it. I'm sure we can do it as well. Now, with subscriptions, the good news about subscriptions is that the revenue per user is super high. But the bad news is that it's a very limited market. By that, we mean that if you think of it from a user standpoint, every user on average will only take so many subscriptions, right? So if I have one subscription and I reach another website that is asking me to subscribe, I'll most likely not subscribe. So at the end of the day, only the top few publishers will get the top few subscribers. So as an example, if you look at New York Times, which has about 7 million digital subscribers and is always touted as the kind of global leader for subscriptions, if you look at their digital subscribers, and then you look at uh, papers like Los Angeles Times, Boston Globe, and 100 of the Gannett newspapers, you add all the subscriptions of these, multiplied by 4 is what you get in terms of New York Times subscribers. So what happens is after the number 4 or 5 player in the market, the subscribers actually drop a lot with the number 6 player onwards. So subscription is an incredibly tough space to win in. And even if you do get subscribers, at the end of the day, on average, roughly 2% of your monthly active users will end up subscribing. That means 98% of your users are still being monetized using ads. On top of it, once you get subscribers, there's a very high subscription churn. So what Fewcents is doing is we've looked at this monetization gap between the revenue per user of a subscriber and ads, and we feel that there's a lot of money being left on the table because there's a large portion of your audience that's willing to pay something. They're just not willing to subscribe. Maybe because they already subscribed somewhere else, or they just don't want to be committed to any particular website. And this is the area that Fewcents is targeting. Now, how are we targeting this? So the way we're looking at this is, can we offer users a pay per content, a pay per article, pay per video, pay per sound stream, audio stream? Will users be willing to pay small amounts of money for each of these bite sizes of content? So we actually did a survey across 8 different markets, both developing and developed markets. And we saw that by far across the board, the majority of users are willing to pay small amounts of money. In this case, we said the equivalent of US cents. They're willing to pay that much to access individual pieces of content. This is also the same across all age groups. So overwhelmingly, it didn't matter whether you're young or old, people are willing to pay. The second question we asked was, what kind of content are you willing to pay for? And this gave us some interesting results where universally people looked at specific genres that they were more willing to pay for. So the highest, both in men and in women, turned out to be cooking. Maybe it's something to do with COVID and lockdown, but that was an interesting stat for us. But beyond cooking, there's health and fitness, travel, sports, local news, finance. These are all genres users are willing to pay a little bit of money for. And lastly, when we looked at how people would want to pay, what's their preferred means of paying, we figured out that it's not surprising that in emerging markets, wallets and online banking were the most popular. But even in developed markets, we thought cards would be the overwhelming majority. But it turns out that only 44% of users actually prefer cards. The rest prefer a combination of online banking or wallets. Now, one of the questions that people ask is, micropayments, that whole concept has been around for a while. So what's different now? Beyond the product pieces that we feel you need to cover, which Abhishek will talk about a little later, we feel that the timing for micropayments is now. It wasn't a year ago, it wasn't 3 years ago, it's actually now. And the main reason for that is both from the publisher side as well as from the user side. So from a publisher side, we already talked about how ad yields are declining. And as publishers start focusing not only on maximizing page views for ads, they're also now looking at building up their content quality back again. This is what it used to be back in the day. And now content quality is again back in fashion. And then the third piece is there's very high subscription churn. So even for those users, for those publishers who are going to subscription, they're noticing a lot of subscription churn. So to give you a stat over there, Piano, which is one of the subscription service providers, says that roughly around 18% is the churn per month of their entire customer base. This means that theoretically, if you don't add new subscribers to your funnel, in 6 months, your subscription will actually go down to close to zero. So that's a massive problem. On the user side, there's more and more subscription fatigue coming in, right? As more and more publishers move to subscription, A user is getting tired of seeing the payment walls again and again. So they're getting really fatigued seeing all of this and getting frustrated. In fact, on average, based on what Reuters says, that a user has one paid news subscription per person. So once they have that one, they will keep shutting all the other subscription paywalls that they see. And again, on the user side, more and more, everyone knows about the creator economy. There's more fragmentation happening, lesser loyalty. In fact, the stat again from Reuters says that 72% of people actually don't start their news journey by going to a specific news website or app. They actually get referred to different stories, whether it's on social network, on LinkedIn, or whether it's through a search for a particular topic. And then lastly, I think everybody knows, especially during COVID, the willingness to pay online, especially for premium content, has gone up. The Statista says there are about 3.8 billion people now who are doing digital payments globally. So let me just show you, let me just now introduce you a little bit to what Fewcents does. There's a short video after which Abhishek can take over.
So you're a publisher providing premium content. Like most publishers, your ad revenue is most likely shrinking. You might have a large international audience, but few are subscribing. To convert your audiences from casual visitors to loyalists, you need fast micropayments. Pay per article bridges the gap between ads monetization and subscriptions. Introducing Fewcents, a micropayments wallet with which visitors can pay any publisher across the Fewcents global network. We allow publishers to collect cross-border micropayments at zero fixed fees. It's easy to integrate, assures higher revenue than ads, and incremental revenue from your non-subscribers. Fewcents tracks who buys, which article, and at what price. This data helps you with better audience monetization and precise content pricing. It's time you start maximizing revenue from your global audience. Welcome to Fewcents.
Right, over to you, Abhishek.
Thanks, Dushyant. So what we ended up doing is building a distributed paywall. So our paywall is embedded on publisher sites. So on the left side, you can see this is how it would appear if you were using Fewcents. So the user lands on the content they are about to read, and all they have to do is sign in and pay a small amount of money to consume this content. On the right side is what the publisher lens is, and that's how you should be looking at this, that Fewcents is helping you with incremental revenue from your casual visitors or from your non-subscribers. So the important thing is, why is this different from other micropayment solutions out there in the market? So when we looked at it, we thought about our solution in 4 pillars. The first pillar is user convenience. Can there be a seamless interface for the user to sign in and pay small amounts of money for content, and that too across multiple publishers? The other pillar is creator control. How much control can we provide the publisher? So not only do we manage the digital rights to content on behalf of the publisher, we allow them to control the pricing at a category level or at a genre level or even at an article level. We allow audience segmentation and geo-fencing. So for example, if a user is visiting from Facebook or referred via Facebook, likelihood of that user being a casual visitor is very high. So that would be a good time to show Fewcents paywall. Or the strategy could be that we want to monetize audiences outside my core market, and let's use Fewcents for international audience. The other part of control is, how do you customize the Fewcents paywall on your site? So co-branding is very much part of the control panel we provide to the publishers. The third pillar, and probably one of the most important ones, is fintech. So when we talk about fintech, we are talking about having a wallet where the users can store money and then use that money to consume content. When we talk about having a wallet, essentially we are getting into payment regulations, because we are issuing wallet accounts to users in 52 different currencies. So we have that covered. We are a licensed player out of Singapore, and you as a publisher get this cross-border micropayments facility out of the box. The fourth pillar is our analytics stack. So we are tracking who is consuming what content from where and at what price. And we are also tracking who is not consuming that content from where at what price. So essentially what we are providing is that supply demand equation for each piece of content to understand how to price it for which geography. So when publishers think of us, we often categorize our publishers in 4 different stages of subscription maturity or reader revenue maturity. So the first stage is where the publisher is only using ads as a monetization strategy today. The challenges that publishers face is obviously the ad yields are declining and the third-party cookie havoc that has just appeared. Now, the advantage with using Fewcents for such a publisher is that we can instantly provide a plug and play where the publisher starts monetizing at global scale with multiple currencies. You can pilot it on a few pieces of content which you think are premium, and off you go. Then it's a single media wallet for the user, right? So it becomes super easy for the user to start using Fewcents on such a publisher site. The second phase is where publishers are starting to think about reader revenue. So when the publisher is in this phase, one of the most important questions is, which content will people pay for? What should be the price of such content? And who is the audience who is actually willing to pay? Now with Fewcents, it's super easy because you are pricing the content on a per article basis. As I mentioned, we are building that supply demand equation for you to understand which content can sell at what price in which geography, and bring you the exact buyers of that content. So you would know at the end of the day that these are users who have visited and paid 5 times a month or 10 times a month. So we can technically build that subscription funnel for the publisher. The third is the publisher who has just started subscription, but the growth in subscription is limited. Now, a few reasons for that could be that the subscriptions are being targeted to the wrong users. So with Fewcents, you can obviously very easily target the right users and grow your subscription base with us, because we are providing you the informed subscription funnel. And the fourth phase is where publishers are subscription veterans. They have been in the subscription business for a long time, but they have reached a saturation and they are faced with significant churn. So statistically, we know that 18% plus or minus percent of subscribers churn every month for users, for publishers. Now with Fewcents, for such a publisher, we can start monetizing the churned users and definitely all of the non-subscribers. So no matter which phase in your subscription maturity you are as a publisher, Fewcents is still a very valuable and incremental solution for you. This is some of the data or some of the analytics that you can see. What you see on this is content. We have this is a sample of a single publisher, and every single dot is a unique piece of content. The green dots are the ones which received very high page views, but also a lot of people unlocked it at the price that it was shown, which means that this is your gold mine. This is exactly the content that people are willing to pay for. Your website seems to be known for that, so a lot of people are coming there. You might consider increasing the price for such content and definitely produce more of such content. The blue dots are the ones where people are willing to pay, they are unlocking, but you don't have enough page views on this content. So the takeaway for such content would be to promote it more, and this is an action item for your marketing team. The red dots are the ones where neither do you have page views, neither are people willing to pay. So this might be just content which should be floated for free without a paywall. And the yellow dots are the ones where you should probably consider decreasing the price. And if you see it is working, it is moving to green, good. If not, take out the paywall for those content as well. So really intelligent, good data coming out of Fewcents for you.
Abhishek, I had a question on that. Would you have any insights around the length of content that publishers should look at, or any data around that?
That's a good point, Anand. We don't track it on the length of the content, but what we see is it is not necessarily about the length. What we are seeing is it is about how evergreen really the content is. So for example, if a content has a shelf life of 1 day, meaning all the traffic hits only on the first day, then that is probably hot topic content where it is available everywhere, like it's generic news most likely. So that is the content that just does not work for payments at all. So what you need to focus on is evergreen content which is original, uh, uh, and if it is exclusive, even better, but at the very least it has to be researched and original.
Makes sense.
Next slide, Bhushan. So Fewcents data is equivalent to an informed subscription funnel, right? So let us show you why, right? So Fewcents is helping understand which geography to target for reader revenue, which users to target for reader revenue, which content should be put behind a paywall, and at what price. And with these 4 data points, we are able to build a funnel, right, of the most loyal users that a publisher could have, right? These are users who frequently visit, have the willingness to pay for your content. And in fact, a publisher can even offer a custom bundle. Instead of an all you can eat plan for every user, you can create specific bundles for different users. We can provide that level of granularity in our data to the publisher. Next slide. So the key takeaways: 1, micropayments is incremental to ads and subscriptions. It is not a replacement, it is incremental. 2, different monetization methods need to be used for different user segments. So segmenting your audience is very important, and leveraging all monetization methods is very important. 3rd, leverage data to identify your premiumness of your content. So not all content has the same premium to it. Some content is lower priced and some content is higher priced. And we define that based on the love from the users, meaning how many are unlocking from which geography. So that premiumness of your content has to be quantified. 4th, you need to make it super easy for your users. If it is not easy, if it is not in local currency, if the journey is not smooth, people are not going to pay. And lastly, don't forget international users and local currencies. Basically, don't leave money on the table. Come join Fewcents. I think that's the last slide.
Right. Thanks, Abhishek. That was a very useful information that you had there. In terms of the features, right? What do you see as an upcoming feature on the platform? Would you like to share some light around that?
Yeah, I mean, a few things that we are working on definitely is looking beyond web, right? So we already have a product out now for audio and video monetization on the web with Fewcents paywall. We are building our SDK now. So that should hit the market in a couple of months. So the mission is that Fewcents will become or should be a global media wallet for the user. So the user can view Fewcents as a way to consume unbundled content, but at the same time help them identify which publishers they want to subscribe with, right? And so that's our vision, that a user could read or listen to 100 different outlets or publishers, but we will help them select that one or two publishers that they should subscribe with, right? So SDK is on the cards. There are more AI features coming up for dynamic pricing of content, identification of which content should be put behind Fewcents, because at the moment it is a bit of manual effort. So we want to automate that for our publishers.
Got it. The Fusions platform is integrated with the Bold CMS as well. So our publishers can sort of start leveraging Fusions for monetization.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about features. So, this integration with Quintype is critical. We expect a lot of publishers from the Quintype CMS who are using Quintype to come on board and start experimenting with this incremental monetization.
Yep, sure. Okay, thanks everyone for joining us today, and we'll share the recording and the slide deck in the next couple of days. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.